This all happened in real life. No, really, my uncle who works at Nintendo told me. I'm here back at it again with another film review. This time I'm doing something pretty different. I'm doing an original movie, an indie one, from Y2K from A24. Talk about the perfect Christmas, or at least the perfect New Year's movie, in a way. Um, Y2K. It follows two nerdy losers, Eli and Danny, played by Jaden Martell and Julian Dennison, who use New Year's 1999 to crash a party and use it to to get popular and to meet the chicks of their dreams. Where Jaden catches moves his eyes to Laura, played by the one and only Rachel Zegler. But then things go awry when seems like the myth or like the panic of Y2K from back in the day comes true, and computers and robots take over the world. So it's up to these bands of young misfits to do what they can to end the apocalypse and also learn a little about each other along the way. Anyways, yeah, I guess this is not the movie I would have expected to see originally, but I decided to give it a chance for certain reasons. For sure, the best part of this movie, or I guess by default, is the comedy. Because I'll say this, I'm kind of mixed on it, but I did enjoy it. It's pretty funny, at least for me, since of course comedy is subjective. But I'd say around 70% of the gags are funny, and there are some great ones that have the audience laughing, including me. But the remaining are some jokes that is not a cringe fest, but they just don't really land either. So I guess it's mostly just kind of awkward silence, but it's at least it's a decent ratio. There's jokes of various kinds, and also the chemistry between the cast. It seems like they do enjoy each other's company, and they do kind of add this energy and charm to them, even though there are issues with certain things. But I'll get to that later. But yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm surprised by the amount of small roles that certain actors have. Like Mason Gooding was in this. Eduardo Franco from Stranger Things is in this. Not for much, but he does get some of the funniest lines of the movie. Alicia Silverstone and Tim Heidecker get small parts. Even this movie's own director, Kyle Mooney, has a small supporting role as a video rental store employee. And also, the kid Leroy is in this. He doesn't do a lot, but he's in it for sure. And also, the other thing I can appreciate is just the sheer dedication to the absurdity of this premise. I'll say this: like, if I saw this in middle school, I would have loved it because it kind of matches with my oddball sense of humor and trashiness. Even though I'm not even from this generation, but yeah, I probably would have enjoyed it because I'd say it's a mix between modern and old because it has very modern humor, which you see in a lot of comedies and movies and TV, but it also feels like a throwback, like something you would see in the early 2000s with cliches and all. And of course, it has plenty of late 90s references, but doesn't drill you over the head with it, where like, remember this, remember this, remember this. It kind of feels natural to the characters and like the environment. So it's not just a nostalgia fest. Also, I do enjoy the practical effects where they use to bring the machines and robots to life even without using CGI, even if it does intentionally look corny. Since that's kind of the joke, like it's just a bizarre, strange movie. You gotta be like the right kind of person in the right kind of mindset to enjoy this kind of movie because I did have to kind of turn my brain off because it is a dumb comedy. It's a fun one, but it definitely is not smart. Because one of the biggest issues I can say about this is it's incredibly cliche, like, and very tropey. It's glorious but tropey. Everything you think is gonna happen happens, and without not much freshness or uniqueness. Like it just does. It kind of does go through the motions of this kind of story that I may have seen dozens of times, especially in apocalyptic comedies like This Is the End, but not as intense or wild as that one. But it is, I guess, still a fun time. Um, I'd say like this is a good premise, a bizarre one, but I feel if it was in better hands, like from the Daniels, then I guess it would probably soar. But it's still decent enough for what it is. Another problem I kind of had with it was that there was this side friendship between this punk rock girl and this. I guess he wasn't a nerdy guy. He was like an awkward guy. He had like a bowler hat and glasses. Who have this friendship, but they make it seem into a bigger deal than it actually is. As this major, I guess, dynamic. But they're both just kind of okay characters. They do have some funny lines, but they don't really leave that much of an impact. So I'm wondering why is it using up so much time on these two? It's kind of feel like it's wasting. And also, I don't know what with this bowler hat guy, he just kind of came out of nowhere in part of the story. Like when they were going to, like, I think the garage, he was there, but then he joins the group as not part of the journey. I'm like, so why did this guy become such an important guy? Like, why is he tagging along? Like, so that was just strange. Like this is out of nowhere random character being part of the group. Um, and there is plenty of plot armor. Like there are parts where wait, actually no, I'll get to that later. Um, and this movie is a kind of a joke fest, where it's just joke after joke after joke. And it does try to have some heartfelt, serious moments, which don't land that well because the writing and the build-up isn't there. Like, I guess it would had better execution, this would have worked. But these emotional scenes are pretty quick, and also there will be some that get undercut like a joke. It does remind me a bit of Marvel, where you get some sort of emotional scene, but then there's an extra bit of humor to make it seem subversive. But I guess it's kind of a little old at this point. Some they do leave it as if without a joke, but it still doesn't really work because, like I said, it's just kind of a joke fest. Like it feels like this movie exists mostly for the jokes and not much else. But I guess it just depends on what one is looking for. I say like I mentioned, the cast do have chemistry, even though their characters are pretty cliche as well. Like everyone's kind of tropey and like they act the way you think they're gonna go. But there's a romance between Jaden's and Rachel's characters that are not that. Well, the chemistry it helps the relationship being from boring to charming. So at least they add some of their signature charm to add a little bit of believability, and I did root for them together, even though there's not a lot to their characters. So it just relies on charm and wit. But it is kind of funny seeing both of them seem so dedicated to like the serious emotion, quote unquote, emotional scenes, like with their dramatic acting, even if like again the scenes don't those heartfelt scenes don't really click. But hey, not bad. Anyway, I guess I'll now move on to the spoiler segment. Okay, I guess now I can get to the spoilers now. It's a little strange that the whole Y2K apocalypse just happens. Like there's no real explanation, and it's a comedy, but it just happens just because, not even because of a virus or I guess something mutates. It just happens. And yeah, I did mention there was plot armor where like there'll be characters where a character should have died or should have been caught by the robots, but they don't, just because of just plot reasons. I'm like, really? Like they couldn't see them right there, even like it's in a specific scene, which I'll get to later. It's just a little odd. But one thing that did surprise me, because it was not in the trailers. Well, there was very little of it because this didn't have much marketing. But I'm surprised no comment section ever spoiled this for me. But it seems like almost to the halfway point, Eli's best friend Danny dies. I did say there was spoilers, and I was kind of shocked because I thought he would be in the movie more. But I guess I should have seen him coming, because there are parts in the trailer where he's not even present. So I should have put two and two together. But yeah, no one caught that or even talked about it or gave it away. So yeah, it was a kind of a shock to see him die, even if his death did have a joke relating to a condom. But I'll say like it's tropey, but at least there's this hacking scene that happens to the end, which had me laughing pretty well, because it just seems purposely over edited and random with all these effects. So it just kind of made it feel like some weird internet meme in there. I say like around half this movie feels like a decent meme at best. But yeah, it had me laughing just how over the top that scene was at the end. And another thing, which I think isn't really a spoiler because they were a little bit in the trailers, but I guess I'll still treat as a spoiler. There's a third act appearance by the one and only Fred Durst, lead singer of Limp Bizkit, who isn't just a cameo, he plays a role in the third act. And of course, his appearance is kind of a little cliche, but at least he ain't bad. Like, he gives a good one-liner here and there. I don't really listen to their music, but it was nice to see him here. And I know they do make the joke, but it's still really, I guess, out there that this is the late 90s, but Fred Durst plays himself looking like he does now, much older. And they do make the joke like, wow, he looks like shit. And yeah, he does look like shit during this time period, but it's just how he looks like now. So I can kind of give it a pass, but yeah, it's gonna turn your brain off thing. And there is this nice epilogue at the end, where the characters are all like just graduated their college, all happy and everything, and they come to see the cemetery to give put a couple of toys in Danny's grave. And I'm thinking, why didn't they do this now? I mean, why are they doing this just now? Like, it's a 5-year time skip. There wasn't any other time where they could just put the toys in the grave. But it was a little strange. But it was a nice heartfelt scene, even if it was short. But it did have this one funny gag. Well, audio and visual gag where it turns out Fred Durst now owns a business and he's running to be a politician, which is kind of nuts, and had me smiling just looking at the sign. Yeah, like I said, this movie is mostly for the comedy. It does have a mid-credit scene, but it's an extra joke, which is just a weirdly edited music video of Danny dancing to a song. I don't know. I know the song, but I can't remember the name of. Well, the one that goes dun 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 dun. I think some of you know. So yeah, that was funny. It did go a little too long and a little odd for like a mid-credits joke, but they went for it. Like, nothing's stopping them. And at least Kyle Mooney got to make the movie he wanted to make, because I do miss his work on Saturday Night Live, so it's nice for him to direct movies, and I wouldn't mind him making more of his own kind. Parts of me thought this was going to be even stranger, but I guess it was like a decent enough balance, even though, again, it's just for comedy and not much else. And of course, I know some of like the computer characters are like kind of like, it's purposely terrible CGI since the late 90s, but I see. But yeah, there were some good jokes here and there that did have me chuckling just because of how over the top it is. And yeah, I'm mixed on it, but I did have a good time for sure, and I wouldn't mind witnessing it with others. And I can probably see this being a cult film. Of course, it's gonna be for a very niche audience to truly enjoy it, and have to be from that generation. But I enjoyed it, and I wasn't part of that generation. I didn't even know what Y2K was until like a few years ago. But I think that's how it is, you know. I give this movie a 7.2 out of 10. I also would not mind getting to see a continuation of a story like this, but with these characters, because yeah, I guess they do make a foreshadow of the virus coming back later. But yeah, I would like to see these guys have a normal life. And that's it for me. See y'all later. And avoid the next Y2K phenomenon.